Welcome, friends, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a podcast created by fans for the fans, and we appreciate you listening to episode 126. I am your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcasts and Funko Pop collector, Booker Andy.
I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
I don't know why we were we were like pausing with our intros.
I know.
So Tim will be on in a little bit. He's putting the kid down to sleep.
The kid.
But
He's putting the kid down.
He's putting my niece down to sleep. But this week we will be talking about the Raw after Mania. AEW airing the backstage all-in footage. Tama Tonga makes his WWE debut, and more. Before we get started, please follow us on all social media platforms at the PW Fan. And we appreciate, any likes or new subscribes that we can get. Jeremy, I'm going to pass it over to you. What was that?
I was going to say, and
pass
also...
it over to you and tell them about our video that you made.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I was actually just about to say that too. And I was like, we also have a new vlog that's up for basically, it follows us through Wrestlemania weekend. And from like when we left all the way down to when we got there and everything. So check it out. It's like 30-ish minutes. It's pretty long just because it's 2 nights we stayed there. We got a lot of content, and then you can kind of see like the view from like where it is from in the stadium, kind of how everything was set up there. It was really cool to see like the side of the stage and to see how all the production was done, at least for me. But yeah, it was fun. And then it was fun to see how much Andy did not like the train ride too. So you guys can see that
Tim was recording me.
Yeah, it just cuts. Andy is like, I don't like trains.
I don't like trains.
But yeah, it's up on the YouTube page now. So yeah, check it out.
Also, there is one thing with that video my friend pointed out, but me, Jeremy, and Tim already knew about it. He was like, "Yeah, everything was good." He's like, "I don't know what happened though during Roman's entrance. If you want to tell him about."
Oh yeah. They so for some reason when we uploaded it, everything went through fine, except for the Roman entrances. Both night 1 and 2, they got copyright restrictions on it, so that's just muted during that part. For some reason,
all the other songs are fine, but
yeah, we just got a strike for copyright for Roman's entrance music from Def Rebel. I think that's the band.
Yeah. So
that's
like
now.
The only part, but that is up.
Everything else is fine.
We had been talking about putting it together for weeks before Mania, and last week we said we would have it up by next episode, and we did. So thank you, Jeremy, for that. So this week, before we get started on the actual TV shows, a couple of things to go through. I don't know if Tim got around to it. He wanted me to postpone it until this week, but quickly on the Dark Side of the Ring episodes, the past 2 were Harley Race and Chris Colt. Most people know Harley Race. I don't think a lot of people know who Chris Colt is. Harley Race is all I can describe the episode. He's one bad motherfucker, dude. He just went through like car crashes and like stabbings and stuff, and it's just like he's just a badass. But he's a big legend. I know like Punk's a big fan of like Harley Race.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think every wrestler that's talked about him has said the same thing, like how much of like a badass he basically is, and everyone loves him.
Yeah, you get that sense of it during this episode. And then Chris Colt, I know Cornette has described him in the episode as like one of the most talented wrestlers that you never heard of.
Yeah.
And his character and everything went in so many directions. Eventually, it was like this crazy like character and taking drugs, and he kind of lived that life. And then he got into like at one point like gay porn and just and he was wrestling in an age where you don't really come out, but the guys in the back knew. I don't know. It was just like it was another wild ride of an episode, as like all the Dark Side of the Rings are. But this past season they've been like sad, but not like kind of chaos. But these past 2 episodes were kind of chaos, just a little bit different from one another.
Yeah,
Yeah,
still
Chris Cole,
worth watching though.
I believe I'm trying to. I know that there's more Dark Side of the Ring episodes coming out. I don't think that was the season finale. Next week is Chris Adams, the Gentleman and the Demon. It says, gentleman Chris Adams had the charm, prowess, and instinct to become a wrestling sensation, but a violent relationship with alcohol led to a tragic end at the hands of a friend.
Didn't they mention before about like being the last season or something like last year? So they were gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, I thought last year was gonna be the last season, but
yeah.
And then the Chris Colt episode was described as, it was called Chris Colt, Welcome to My Nightmare. It says the wildest wrestler never to break through. Chris Colt's life took him from LSD trips in the ring. Yeah, he took LSD and wrestled.
That's crazy.
To the world of porn, but his self-destructive waves kept him from becoming a star.
Wow.
It's just wild, man. Also in news, I've seen a lot of memes because of this. Jon Moxley became the new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at a NJPW show in Chicago, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, that was the same show that Jack Perry was there.
Jack Perry was there. People were chanting, "You got choked out," right? During it. Also, I was seeing memes. It's like, thank God for Jon Moxley for that awkward 5-day period where no one from the Shield was the champion.
From the Shield, yeah. Which is crazy to think about, that it's been like years, and at least at one point one of them has had a title.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, mostly Roman, but like.
Yeah. I mean, Roman
had it for like almost 4
had
years.
A title after the first year or so of AEW. He's had the title like all the way up until up until now. There was a point when all 3 were champions. I do know that. Yeah. At once. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we get into things, have you seen that like they've been doing that glitchy stuff, the music stuff at live, like when the cameras are off at live events?
Yeah.
Everyone's saying Uncle Howdy. Yeah, that's what everyone's thinking, apparently.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see.
Do you think that is going to work when he comes on screen? Because it's Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy.
I mean, let's just say if Vince was in charge of it, I don't think so, but I think they're going to find a way to make it work. And I think with the Bray documentary and people now knowing that Uncle Howdy was Bo and who's behind the mask.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that have wanted to see Bo back ever since the documentary. And then I saw an interview recently where Sami Zayn got asked like most underrated wrestler, and he was like, most underrated wrestler in WWE, and he's like, well, technically because he's on contract, he's like, I would say Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
So Sami Zayn was big for being behind him. But is there anything else to add, Jeremy, that you saw this week?
I don't think so. I think that was kind of it. I know there's a bunch of stuff throughout the shows, but I think that was kind of it outside of that.
Okay. So yeah, let's get right into Raw. Raw after Mania. We did take some days off instead of recording that night. We ended up recording last week's episode, which we didn't cover this, and now we're covering the final Raw.
They had a crazy crowd for this match, or this show.
They were still in Philly, correct?
Yeah, but they had to do that small stage design to fill everyone.
Which is what they had at the SmackDown before Mania as well.
Yeah.
And I think Stand and Deliver was there too.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
But Triple H opened up the show. He brought out the new champion, Cody Rhodes, new WWE Undisputed champion. And, lots of "you deserve it," and what you would expect, I guess, to hear,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm correct.
Do you think
He
like
did acknowledge
Cody?
Roman and thanked Roman for holding it down, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Do
Do
I
you
think
think
Cody what?
Cody's like that? I don't know. Like, do you remember the beginning of AEW when Cody was like white hot? Everyone loved him. I feel like
Hmm.
he's like kind of at that point again.
You think it's all downhill from here?
Yeah, well, you know that I don't know if you ever seen it recently, but like it's already kind of started a little bit where I've seen them post like, "Hey, Cody's going to be at the show. He was on Raw. He's also on SmackDown, and I think he's on Raw tonight as well." And people were like, "Hey," and it's like already like Cody's on every single show. He's like taking over all stuff, and they kind of get annoyed. I'm like, I don't know.
Dude,
We'll see him
he's the
like,
next Cena.
yeah,
People are
we'll
gonna
see him.
hate him.
I
People are
don't know,
gonna like him.
in
That's
like a
what it's
few
gonna come
months.
down to.
Yeah,
Or like what happens with Seth Rollins every time he's champ.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Except for it didn't really happen this last run.
Yeah, well, this one I think
Um,
was because he was like involved in that Rock and all the stuff, so
yeah.
I feel like it
And
could have
also
been
he
different.
wasn't like super babyface like before.
Yeah,
When the
if it was
Fiend
gonna be
went baby.
Punk, then he would have just gotten booed anyways.
Yeah. Um so while Triple H and Cody are out there, Triple H shows a video package that he put together for Cody.
They wheel out
And
on
then
TV for him.
yeah, they were wheeled out a screen because there was like no screen based on the minimum production.
Yeah,
After Triple H left though, Rock came out. Crowd chanted Rocky sucks. This whole thing was like this whole segment from start to finish was like 45 minutes
that was
of the
crazy.
show. It could have been like 10 or 15 minutes shorter.
Could have been.
Um, The Rock warned Cody that he's coming back after his hiatus. And targeted Cody. What do you say? He's like, the Rock's gonna. He's like, the Rock's got to go away for a little while.
Yeah,
The Rock's got to do what the Rock does and go away for a little while.
yeah. And the crowd was like chanting, "Shut the fuck up!" And then the Rock like did that thing. He's like, "You just broke the world record of was it 15,000 people of trailer park trash in one arena." And
mhm.
then he's like, "Yeah, chant the shut the fuck up now."
What else happened? Well, I forgot. Before The Rock came out, didn't Cody like quote Brandy Rhodes
That
from
was
AEW?
Friday.
That was Friday. Okay, getting ahead
Yeah,
of myself. Of course,
with
he was
the
doing the Cody World
thing.
Tour.
Yeah,
It also appears that they dropped the Universal part of the championship name.
yeah. I'm kind of glad about that.
They can also get rid of the Undisputed part. Now
Yeah,
that
they
there's
they still
two
put the
titles.
undisputed on there though.
Yeah, they should get rid of it though. This should just be the WWE champion, and then
Yeah,
the what?
world
Just
heavyweight
make it world
champion.
heavyweight in WWE like it was in the Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah,
I sound like an old man. Just do it how it was 20 years ago, man.
yeah. Back when I was younger.
Make the tag titles look like how they did. Bring back the Eddie Guerrero title. Yeah.
Yeah,
But while The Rock was out there, The Rock, I don't know, the crowd was chanting this is awkward, and it kind of was. The Rock's like, I want to
yeah.
hold that. He wanted to hold Cody's title, and Cody's like, I'll let you hold it if I can hold yours.
I
And
know.
the crowd
Like it
started
was
chanting
like it
like,
felt
this
like
is
an
awkward.
innuendo too. I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
When Cody was talking about Roman, though, he said, we don't have to like him, but I certainly acknowledge what he's done. Perhaps he's the most important superstar of our generation. And there were thank you, Roman chants.
Yeah,
Rock's
that's
entire
nice.
thing is just angry board of directors member who likes to drop the F-bombs. And also, what did I see today? He posted something on Twitter or on X and said boy at the end. Oh, it was about Cena.
Yeah.
Rock loves saying boy and we do not,
uh,
but
just the way that he says "boy," I'm like, maybe let's calm down on that.
Rock, to wrap up this segment, also said, your story with Roman Reigns is over. You did it. But our story has just begun. We were discussing before the pod start, are they going to wrestle at SummerSlam or Mania? I don't think it's going to be any time in between one of those two. I think it's going to be one or
No.
the other. But we will
Yeah,
have to see.
I thought it was going to be SummerSlam and then I've seen people say this before, which I thought would be a horrible move. But like, if Rock wins the title from Cody at SummerSlam, and then he faces Roman at Mania,
and then Roman wins it back.
yeah,
Fuck, dude, you can't do that to Cody. You can't have it like.
I know.
Dude, no. I mean, I'm not a huge Cody fan. You know, I wouldn't say I'm a Cody crybaby. I'm not at that point. But
Yeah.
I would feel for the guy and be like, dude.
All right, yeah. Let him at least have until Mania next year.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is he's officially on the roster, but it's certainly a debut on television. Ilya Dragunov, the NXT champion, had a match against Shinsuke Nakamura, who he defeated. If you're not, I mean, I think Jeremy, you knew who Ilya was, or had
Yeah,
seen
I
him
know who he
before,
is. Yeah,
because he's the one that dethroned Gunther or
do you
Walter
think
at the time.
they have the draft coming up? Do you think they're just showcasing some guys just so people are familiar when they get drafted? Then,
I mean, if they do, they need to take the title off of him before, or right after. You know, Braun.
Yeah.
I'll say, since we don't talk about NXT, Axiom and Nathan Fraser, who faced Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin at Stand and Deliver for the titles, but lost. They ended up winning the titles this past Tuesday from Baron and Braun. So, and then also there's a video of Braun basically saying goodbye to NXT. So they dropped the titles. That way Braun can go up. That's what it looks like. Now, I don't know what's going on with Baron Corbin, but they need to do something like that if they're going to bring Ilya up.
Yeah.
Judgment Day had a segment, which was basically a celebration for both Damian and Rhea. At one point, Miz and R-Truth came out, and there was going to be a 6-man tag, and R-Truth was saying that it's someone, but you can't see him, right? Is that what he said? You can't see him?
Yeah, that's what he said, yeah.
Hello, Tim.
Is it Little Jimmy?
It was not Little Jimmy. So it ended up becoming a... Go on.
I just wanted to say, in the words of the King, CM Punk, when he said he was going to make it to his friend's wedding, no matter what, I said I was going to fucking be here, and here I am. I have made it.
There you go. So this
CM Punk shirt too.
Yeah. This 2-on-3 match, though, eventually did become a 3-on-3 match where John Cena would run out. Big Pop teaming up with Miz and R-Truth and defeating the Judgment Day.
People were like, Cena's done everything in WWE, now he's doing side quests.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
He's doing side quests right now?
Yeah, Cena, he's done everything else.
He just pops in with a 6-man tag for no reason.
Maybe the one thing he's never won Money in the Bank. That might be the one thing.
Didn't he win it? Or no, he never. Yeah, no, he never won it.
Was he ever a tag team champ?
No, wait, he did win it, didn't he? Because remember, he was held over and he had that really stupid smile.
You guys need to answer this because I was not watching during this era. I stopped.
He won Money in the Bank, right, Tim? Cena?
Yes.
Yeah, because then he cashed it in as a normal match, though. It wasn't a surprise thing.
Yeah.
Did he win Intercontinental or tag titles? Is he a Grand Slam, I guess, is my question.
He's won the tag titles.
So. I think he is a Grand Slam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. Wait.
No, don't spoil. We talk about next week.
I don't think he's had the Intercontinental.
I remember him being in the United States. He beat the Big Show.
U.S., but not Intercontinental, baby. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Jeremy, what you were about to say, we'll talk about next week.
What? Not the tag titles. No, not the tag titles.
New tag titles were revealed tonight on Raw.
I was going to say...
Yeah.
I was going to say
I have my gripes.
Someone, stay tuned for next week. Someone said it looked like a cheese pizza.
Look, it's better than what they were. But
yeah,
I don't want
it is
too much.
But anyways, we'll talk about it next week. But I was going to say, speaking of Grand Slam champions, I forgot to mention while we're talking about Moxley that he is a Grand Slam champion because he got the
only one to hold an AEW, WWE, and New Japan title,
which is crazy.
And then what have they been saying? AJ and Cody are the only ones to hold it NWA and WWE.
Yeah. So Mox was the only
No,
one who's
they
ever
can't be
done
the
that.
only ones. No, Ric
Mox-
Flair.
Yeah, you count it that way. Yeah.
Ric Flair definitely. But not this newer NWA, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. Liv Morgan attacked Rhea Ripley backstage, which we'll talk about the repercussions of that next week. But stuff happened on Raw tonight, which I'm sure if you're actually listening to this now, you've already known. Just like Ilya Dragunov, the NXT champion, the women's NXT women's champion Roxanne Perez had a debut match on Raw, defeating Indy Hartwell, who actually, when Roxanne had to give up her title, Indy Hartwell was the next one in line, and then she was shortly called up. I don't even think she had the title a month. Jade Cargill had a one-on-one match against Chelsea Green, who she pretty much squashed. And then the main event, it was a fatal four-way, but it started with Drew McIntyre cutting a promo, who was very upset with everything that went down at WrestleMania.
He said, I'm not trying to complain, but I was cheated.
He was pissed at Punk. He was pissed at Priest. The Punk and McIntyre rivalry is in full force. He called Damian Priest Bondage Undertaker. So
Yeah, he did.
Priest is in the know with the wrestling fans of what people are calling him.
I saw someone ask him that in an interview, and they were like, "Bisexual Undertaker," and he's like, "I don't even know what that means."
Did you guys see? Speaking of bisexual Undertaker and the real Undertaker, did you guys see the clip of after Damian won the title? He was like, "Hey, this is my mom and dad," and he was like introducing Undertaker to his family. I love it.
Yeah, and Rock also came up to him.
I love it.
And then Damian Priest was like, "He's like, you got that on camera, right?"
And then I love
like,
the
so amazing.
And then of course, because I'm wearing the shirt, Punk came up and said, "Now you don't got to carry that stupid briefcase around anymore."
Because Punk has talked about how much he hated carrying around through airports.
He's like, but I did put my gear in there. That's a classic quote.
Yeah, that's right.
So the main event, the Fatal 4-Way, was winner gets the next shot at Damian Priest's title. It was Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, and Ricochet. I only bring this move up that Ricochet did because our buddy Bro Keller said how like pinpoint accurate it was.
He texted
Ricochet did 450 from the top rope all the way out to the table.
Just to give some perspective to some listeners from an actual pro wrestler and a guy that's been a champion in companies and actually he's wrestled WWE guys. He personally texted me the clip of Ricochet doing the 450 and just said he was like basically like insane accuracy. Like it's crazy what he just did there. So I love hearing that perspective.
But Drew almost had this match won, and then our buddy CM Punk popped up from behind or from under the ring, right? And what would he grab Drew's foot again, like he did on the table? Cost Drew the match. I
love it.
Rivalries just gonna keep going until Punk's healed.
Dude, Drew and Punk. That's me right now. Drew and Punk is gonna be such an awesome feud when Punk is finally.
Do you see Punk posted like a photo underneath the ring before he went out too?
Yeah, he was him waiting.
Yeah.
And so since Punk cost Drew the match, Jey Uso would end up getting the win. And he is next in line to face Damian Priest, and that wraps up Raw. All right, we're about to go do all the AEW shows, and I gotta say, guys, I was telling Jeremy
before we move fully on to AEW, did you let the people know at the top of the show that not only is our WrestleMania recap episode up, but our WrestleMania XL vlog is up too? Were you able to let them know that?
We
We
did.
sure did.
Well,
Yeah, I
guys,
went all
mentioned
into
you
it.
can see how much Andy does not like trains in it, and I love it.
yes, Andy hates trains. The vlog is doing very well for being up for only 7 hours or so. So thank you all so much for watching. Please watch it. We had a great time. Laugh along with us. There's a lot of footage of the actual event, but there's some behind the scenes of Andy's getting ready in the shower. Me and Jeremy are laughing in the hotel room, enjoying a couple cocktails. There's good stuff.
I
in
thought
there,
they're filming me in the shower.
No.
Let's clarify
We-
that.
We filmed Andy naked in the shower.
And
So it's
I
kinda
might not
like
trains.
It's kind of like the raw Lita Edge sex celebration. If you want to see Andy butt ass naked, you go to our YouTube and you hit the vlog.
I don't like trains. I mean, not as much as Solo Sokoa doesn't like math, but I still don't like trains. Solo Sokoa hates math, guys.
Have you guys
That's funny.
one more thing before we completely move on to AEW? Have you guys have you seen the theory that you got Tama Tonga? Have you guys gotten into that stuff yet?
Not till we get
Andy
to
was-
SmackDown. I was
Yeah.
talking about before we started recording.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll get into it, but there's some theories about the bloodline, a bloodline versus bloodline Marvel Civil War type scenario,
Good
and I'm
bloodline
here
versus bad
for it.
bloodline.
Dude,
Good
I'm
bloodline
here
versus
for
bad
it.
bloodline.
Roman and the Usos versus The Rock and Tama Tonga and Solo. Dude, I'm in. Let's go.
That's where
All right.
we were like, I was laughing because Andy sent that meme where like Roman's gonna be like, "My bad, dog," to like Jay to Jay, like get him on your side.
My bad.
I just sent you guys today, actually, and I said, dang, I kind of missed this era, not going to lie, of the Sammy being in the ring where he's making everybody crack up, where he's like, and I told him,
Lucy.
hello, my dog, I'm right here. And then him and Jimmy start cracking up, and then Solo's like trying to like cover his mouth in the corner. Dude, it's so good.
Well, you do need what if they do like a War Games type of thing? You need like 4 people, right? 4
Yeah.
people.
So
So Sammy could be the honorary Uso.
Jacob Fatu and the honorary Uso Sammy? Dude, that'd be amazing. Wow.
Or Cody.
Wow.
Or Cody because he's feuding with The Rock.
Cody.
Dude, is
he's
he an
feuding with
honorary
The Rock.
Uso for the night?
Give me 5 on 5.
Let me just say this. The Samoan family that has run Buckshot over WWE for the past 30 years, dude, the storyline is so chef's kiss right now. I cannot wait to see the part 2 to the Bloodline story. I feel like
we're finally out of game one.
I feel like the first movie has ended, and now we're getting the trailer.
Yeah.
We're getting the trailer for the next movie.
Well, that's a
Yeah,
good
Paul
segue,
Heyman's going to be
Tim.
like, we're in the bottom of the third on the game 2 now.
That's a good segue, Tim, because there is nothing chef's kiss worthy for me in AEW lately. There's nothing I'm invested in, man. There's just nothing. And
I want to point this out because Conan on his pod, Keeping It 100, great podcast.
I'm watching, but I'm just.
So Conan on his pod said the same thing. He said, "Look, when they first started
Is
this
WWE just that good, or is AEW
Well, hang
just
on.
not have anything?
Listen, he's saying what we're all thinking. Conan was like, "Look, when we first started Keeping 100, we would praise AEW frequently, and WWE was unwatchable. Now, WWE's got it all going on, and AEW is unwatchable. The turns have tabled, and
The turns of
there's
Little
no one
office
to
reference.
blame. There's no one to
Yeah.
blame but Tony. Doesn't mean Tony's not a nice guy, but there's no one to blame but him. And dude, you have enough money to get proper help, to get proper people writing the show, proper bookers.
Well, it
And
sounds
like
like he wants to write it.
But like, even if we said,
that's the issue.
but even like we said a few weeks ago, if you want to be the matchmaker, that's fine. Put my dream matches on a pay-per-view together, but then let somebody else write the story that gets me there, because you can't do
is
it.
this what they want to do as a company and not be like WWE?
And that's the
this is
thing.
what their plan is.
If this is your hobby and you just want to do dream matches and you're so rich that it doesn't matter, then fine. Then it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, as a fan, I love the matches that you're putting great matches on television for free, by the way, not on pay-per-view. That's a mistake WCW made that Tony said he was never going to make the same mistakes WCW made. But you're giving away your great matches on free pay-per-view, and the other thing is there's nothing leading up to
For
them.
TV
There's just
ratings.
matches. It's just matches
It
for
was
matches'
fun.
sake.
It was fun at first because they would be like those like dream matches that
You know,
no
there's
one
an
thought
issue
was
when
possible.
Jeremy's coming
But-
around to our side about it.
No, because I wanted there to be something else, but like there really is nothing. Like it's funny because like when we talk about this show coming up, I was telling Andy before this, but I was like the first two segments I actually kind of liked. Like the first two segments in this show that we're going to talk about, I liked. Everything else I thought was bad, and they target like one of the reasons they don't grow their audience. They target a very niche wrestling audience. Like that's why WWE is so good at like spreading across from like casual to wrestling fans.
Here's the thing. You know, we're going back and forth between WWE and AEW, and we're about to switch into AEW mode. But here's the thing. My issue is this, right? Tama Tonga just showed up from New Japan in the Indies and WWE, and guess what? Guess what WWE is doing? They are telling you who this guy is. What's the backstory? Why is he involved in the family? Like where has he been? What is he doing? And that's the thing. AEW introduces people all the time, and they're just like, you should know who this guy is. I've been a wrestling fan since 1997, hardcore, given my life, you know, weekly to watching these shows. And when they first introduced the who's the dude with the bad haircut? The old dude.
In what, AEW?
Yeah, in AEW. With the buzzed head with the lines in it. Yes.
Oh, Minoru Suzuki?
Yeah, so when they first debuted him,
yeah.
I'm a fan for almost 30 years. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Because I don't watch New Japan that much. So it's like, you got to tell me who this guy is.
Which is weird because in the beginning, they did do that. When they first started, like their first, I think 2 years, they would have those video packages. And then I don't know what happened. I feel like the third year and on, it didn't get better.
We're going into AEW, but look, there's been victories. Me personally, I think AEW was the more watchable show over the pandemic because they weren't doing a ton. They weren't doing a ton of the cinematic crap. AEW in 2020, bringing Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk over. They were on a level where I was like, damn, AEW is actually giving WWE a run for their money.
Agreed.
The drama happened. It is what it is. They continue to bring it up. It's hurting the show as a fan.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into the drama a second here. But speaking of that Tama Tonga stuff, I mean, he came in, they told you who he was, and that video in like 24 hours got like 1.5 million views.
And that's the thing, 1.5 billion views, and also simultaneously telling you who the fuck this guy is. You're giving me a reason to care.
His heritage, they said where he's been or where he came from.
Yeah.
I have to, because look, if WWE gets 1 million to 2 million views a month on Raw, or not a month, a week on Raw and SmackDown, 2 million or whatever, and almost 2 million have already viewed the YouTube video on Tama Tonga, that means that they're getting insight onto who he is. They're knowing the story.
If you look at the videos on WWE's YouTube page, their average is like 300,000. So that means that this is a video that people are going after.
Watch.
I gotta run to the bathroom, but Andy, while you start getting into AEW, I just want to say at the top of this is the worst thing that they've ever done. This was the most Bush League thing that they've ever done. And when I texted a fellow, and I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want him to be in trouble, I texted a pro wrestler and I asked him what he thought, and he was like, horrible, absolutely horrible. So I mean,
It seems like
guys,
everyone outside of AEW thought it was horrible, but also including some of the people.
So it feels like everyone, including AEW, except for 2 people.
I think AEW knows because they are trying to remove it offline everywhere.
They did.
Look, I'm happy, and Andy, I know you're going to jump into it, and I'm happy for Jack Perry. I'm happy that he sold a bunch of T-shirts. Honestly, when he finally comes back to AEW, to be honest, he's going to be one of the more interesting part of the show. But for the company as a whole, I thought the shit was embarrassing. I thought it was a bad idea, and it came off just how we all said it was. We all knew it was going to be a bad idea, and they played it, and it was a fucking bad idea.
Agreed. So, like Tim said, let's get into AEW. I'm gonna end on Smackdown this week, but we will start off with Dynamite. Starting with so Samoa Joe, I guess the storyline wise was supposed to open up the show facing Dustin Rhodes. Instead, they would end up closing out the show. But during Samoa Joe's entrance, Swerve would attack him. And again, this whole thing would carry on till later in the show, so we'll get back to that part. Adam Copeland then had a match. I guess it was another Copeland Open. Against Penta, and he would defeat Penta. Afterwards, the lights would go out. Julia Hart would appear to distract Adam Copeland so that Brody King could attack him. And then Willow comes out to help. So
also, I
sounds
didn't
like
see Copeland doing lucha moves when he was like 50 years old on my card for 2024.
Yeah.
That was kind of wild to see that.
Yeah, I'm sure Penta was one of his dream matches, and I'm sure Adam has some pull. It was like, hey, let me face Penta.
People did say the difference between like Penta, I guess, compared to some other luchas, was like he goes at the pace of what his opponent is. So like he's not rushing things, and that's why it worked out really well with Copeland, because I was like, obviously he's not moving that fast.
This isn't my style of match. I did not particularly like to see Edge do all these moves just to say that he could still do all these moves at the age that he's at. It's cool.
I thought that was cool.
I think it's cool, but like from here on out, I don't need to see it anymore. Like I don't need to see Edge doing a flying head scissors every week on AEW. I don't want to see that.
I mean, I don't think that's going to be the goal. Like he was facing a guy who's Penta.
I'm just saying, it sometimes it feels like the WWE guys that wind up in AEW almost. This is going to sound mean. It almost seems like they wrestled down to their level where they most certainly should not have to. If anything, Edge should be calling that whole match, and maybe he did. Maybe he's the one that called all the head scissor spots. It just felt like a weird pace for an Adam Copeland, aka Edge match. Felt off-brand, which is probably the goal, right? He wants to do different stuff and have fun.
But with Julia Hart coming out and Brody King coming out and Willow coming out, I believe for next week, right? It sets up a mixed tag match, or this week, I should say, the 17th. And it's going to be Willow and Adam Copeland versus Julia Hart and Brody King. Sorry, guys, I'm bringing up the card for Dynasty. I thought maybe we could talk about it.
It's good to talk about the card for Dynasty because it's important.
I forgot that it was so close.
I don't care what anybody says. If I get criticism,
it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad at all.
If I don't care what anybody says. If I get criticism for being an AEW hater or whatever, I'm wearing a fucking AEW shirt right now, even though it's CM Punk. The thing is, I want AEW to be good. I get frustrated and I'm passionate as a wrestling fan because I know that AEW has amazing talent, but I know that the guy in charge has proven over and over again that he can put a good fantasy
Yeah,
booking
the
card.
talent's not the problem. I've always heard good things
And
about
it's
the
not
talent
the
from other
card.
wrestlers that have been there.
It's not the card we just talked about. You just said it. The card sounds pretty fucking good. But imagine how much better it
There's
would
nothing I'm
be
invested in it, though,
if you
besides
had the
who's on
stories
it.
to get me invested into it. It makes it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why when you watch the pay-per-views, they're like, "Oh, this is actually a really good pay-per-view," and then that's kind of it. Like the weekly shows aren't good at all.
Well, our next segment is one of the worst things that AEW's ever done, and
That's like the worst thing.
The worst.
So it was announced the week before that the Young Bucks were going to air the backstage all-in footage, and Tony Khan. Okay, one apparently, I don't know how true this is, but we read that the Bucks actually didn't want to air it. This is all Tony,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so their way of, like, also Tony said some bullshit like, it's interesting timing of Punk doing that interview because we planned on airing this footage. I don't believe that for a second. I think
They
like,
announced it
because-
after the interview.
Yeah,
I don't
think the
believe
interview
that for a
came, and
second.
then-
Tony, come on, bro. Come on, dude.
So their reasoning for airing the footage, the Bucks tried to make sense of it. It just was stupid. Like they're basically saying, "Oh, we lost to FTR because a buddy of FTR caused an incident backstage that we had to deal with, and we weren't concentrating." So then,
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna let me
they
point
felt the
this
need
out.
to air the footage.
People, Tony always is talking about the niche wrestling audience, right? Like I gotta cater to the online internet fans. We are the most niche of the niche. We are a podcast brought to you by wrestling fans. We're not wrestling journalists. We're doing this out of the enjoyment of wrestling. We're telling you, bro, this shit sucked. You should not have played this. This was a bad idea.
Yeah, I just didn't like it. So the footage aired. Does anyone want to talk about what was aired on the footage? I mean, it was
Basically what Punk said, 95%.
It's exactly what Punk said. Yeah.
95%
most
of
part.
what it's the only thing that Punk has left out, which look, okay, you get in a fight, why would you say admittedly that you're the person that struck first? But yeah, he pushed Jack Perry first. But other than that,
No punches were thrown.
no
It was a
physical
push
no punches
and then a choke.
They tried to throw a punch.
from
that
the
was
tried
it
to.
though.
He did
from
try.
the first
At
push.
the end.
It was a headlock, just like he said. Tony Khan reaches over the announce table. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but he reaches over and he tries to stop it. Chris Hero comes out, and Samoa Joe and Hook are breaking up the altercation. The whole thing lasts maybe 5 seconds, literally, and then Punk looks at Tony. He steps back to the table and points, and he says,
But
like
Tony
he
was
said-
fearful of his life, Tim.
"Yeah, well." He stepped back angrily.
And monitors were thrown, right?
No, yeah, and
Isn't that what the footage
monitors
is?
and people were beaten.
I know. That's
and
what. Yeah.
he busted out an AK-47 and started taking everybody out. Yeah, all this stuff. No, the whole thing was 5 seconds long. They push him. He puts him in a headlock. Samoa Joe and Hook break it up. Tony reaches over the table. Chris Hero comes out and is like, "What the fuck is going on?" Punk storms off to the locker room, and then Malachi Black follows him. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Malachi, like the coolest person in the room, where he's just walking around with a cup of coffee.
No, I feel like
Punk.
I feel like Malachi was following him, being like, "Come on, Punk, come on, why you come on?"
But also the funny, like this is like obviously like a serious thing, but like it was funny to see Hook there because he literally was his character. He literally just stood there and like was watching it and just looking back and forth.
But dude,
and didn't do anything.
Even Meltzer said when they were face to face, you could tell Jack Perry was giving him that smarmy little fucking lip. I could tell just by there was no audio, and even Meltzer was
Jack's
like,
"Do something about it." And Punk's like, "I'll fucking kill you."
but like he was like,
love that
but
part of
like
the interview.
even Meltzer was like, "Dude, you can clearly see like Jack Perry is like giving him some tood. He's like giving him some attitude. He's giving him some attitude in the back for sure."
Dude.
Also, Bucks tried to defend Jack Perry, be like, "We've heard that, people say that if you have a problem with Jack Perry, you're probably the problem." It's like, Punk's not the only one that's had an issue.
Well, Punk's the one who said that too, that line, because that's why they brought it up.
Yeah, they brought it up because Punk said it, but the dude's clearly, I mean,
Oh yeah, he was the first to say it back
Look,
in the
yeah.
day. I forgot.
if Bubba Ray Dudley says that you're a fucking asshole, I mean, I don't really know what to say. Just take Bubba at his
You're
word.
disrespectful.
I don't trust Bubba that much for
But that's
me,
the thing.
but yeah.
But that's the thing. Bubba is a self-proclaimed asshole. So if he's saying, "Hey, I thought this dude was a disrespectful little prick," I believe him.
Might be an asshole, but a guy like that has a whole respect thing with locker rooms and.
Yeah.
People respect Bubba. We're not in the locker room to know how people really feel about Bubba, but I feel personally that people have a respect for Bubba, even the ones that said he was a bully and blah 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 blah. Bully Ray.
Yeah.
Well, this then was connected right after to FTR was shown in the ring cutting a promo and said that basically, why are we showing this? Everyone's ready to move on, which I'm like, yeah. Why are you showing it?
Why are you showing this? Meanwhile, Tony Schiavone is literally face palming. He can't even take the second-hand embarrassment of it.
Yeah.
Cash Wheeler called the Bucks Rod and Todd Flanders.
It was a bad Simpsons reference while they were wearing a Simpsons shirt. I was like, guys, this isn't.
Yeah,
and also the all-in footage being silent just makes it impossible to tell how the conversation actually went.
Yeah, I don't know if that camera did because it's a security camera, so I don't know if it does have audio, but it doesn't really matter either way.
I will say, just from the appearances though, if you because Ariel Helwani lined up both videos next to each other of Punk saying what happened. And the incident, and it does look like Punk walked up to him and was like, do you have a problem, or why do you do this dumb shit? And then they were jaw-jacking back and forth. Jack Perry definitely looked like he made a disrespectful comment.
Said some
and Punk
shit.
pushed him. It's basically just what he said happened. Basically, Jack Perry said do something about it, and Phil Brooks, aka CM Punk, was like, bet, here you go. That's sometimes dudes fight, and just like Kenny Omega said on his Twitch stream, it's not that big of a fucking deal.
Yeah, but the difference is that Kenny was saying you can fight, but then you have to shake hands afterwards and get over it, which I don't feel like a lot of people there could do. I
agree, but I'm talking more about the brawl out situation. I think things could have gotten smoothed over.
But yeah, I mean, we didn't mention what Kenny said actually on a stream. I guess we can just talk about it now if you wanted to.
No, he said that just because he works for a particular company doesn't mean he feels a particular way about it, and he felt a couple things. The synopsis, and look, I don't want to speak for Kenny. You guys can go watch this actual clip, and he can give you the words in his own story. But it basically sounded like he said, "Look, I'm not a good EVP, and I haven't had power, for a very long time. But I felt in the situation of Brawl Out that the most important thing to do was to get Larry away from danger. So that's what I did, and he got Larry away from danger." And Kenny's an athlete. He's a guy who has played sports and been around competitive people, and he basically was like, look, skirmishes break out sometimes, and people fight, and then afterwards you move on. And he felt like, unfortunately, the powers that be at the time, they were not able to move on. But Kenny even said, me and Punk are cool. He's like, we have a mutual respect, and he said I would have taken his phone call the night of Brawl Out when Punk was trying to make amends with everybody and be cool. He said I would have taken his phone call that night if other circumstances hadn't come up. So, look, Kenny's basically saying look, it was stupid. Some dudes fought. We could have gotten past it, and we didn't. Unfortunately, that's what it sounds like.
This is why Kenny is one of my favorite people.
I like
all he
Kenny.
Wants to do is play video games and wrestle, and I'm like, that sounds amazing.
I like Kenny. Kenny has never rubbed me the same way. I've never talked about Kenny in the same light that the Bucks. Even if you go back into old episodes, I always talk about Kenny
Even
with
at
like
Raw,
kind of.
he just wanted to save Larry.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what we were. When Andy unfortunately lost the internet for a second, but when you did, I was
My
just
internet
saying.
completely dropped.
But
Yeah.
what I was saying is that Kenny said in that moment, even though he feels that he's a terrible EVP, in that moment he felt like his number one
Yeah, he
job
feels like he's awful.
was
He's
to get
like I should not
Larry
be
away.
EVP.
He says he shouldn't be an EVP because he's like me. Look, you get into look. I have coworkers. I've gotten almost close to nose with my coworkers, and then you move on. It is what it is. No one needs to get fired or have their whole life ruined over it.
Also, Kenny said he's one of those people that feel like you should just fight it out and then it's done.
I got in 2 fights in high school. I got in a fight in high school with my friend Chris. We fought at the bus stop. I was back in his house watching him play Final Fantasy X by the end of the day. And
you were watching him play Final Fantasy.
Yes. Well, it wasn't 2-player. And then I remember in like 10th or 11th grade, this kid Scott purposely, definitely, spiked a volleyball at my face, and I was at the front of the net, and I ran under the net and speared him like Goldberg. And the gym teacher was like, "Let him go, let him get it out of their system," and then we did. And then we dapped it up at the end, and then him and I were cool the rest of the year. It's not that big a fucking deal.
I wish I could see video of that.
Andy knows. When Andy was a little,
lots of practice on me spearing.
Well, when Andy was a little kid, this kid Dylan, who we were friends with, there were 2 brothers, and they were older and younger brother. Me and Andy were older and younger brother. This kid Dylan attacked Andy when we were playing hockey. He was mad about something, and I tackled the shit out of him.
But I also scoop slammed him before he attacked.
Then Andy picked him up on rollerblades and slammed him down. But then
on rollerblades,
he's fighting my little brother. I run over. I defend my little brother.
He's older than me, by the way. He's more Tim's age at this time than.
Yeah, Andy's fighting an older person. So I run over. I defend Andy.
On rollerblades.
Rollerblades, and I'm yelling at the kid. I'm like, "Why are you beating up a little kid? What the hell is wrong with you?" And him and I are like in each other's faces. By the next week, me and Andy are over there watching their basement playing Xbox. It's not that big of a deal. You get it out, it's all good.
Well, speaking of someone that wanted to get something out, Will Ospreay cut a promo basically on Triple H because
This was also fucking embarrassing as an AEW fan.
Triple H
I feel like this one was also 10 times worse because of what happened right before it.
Oh God, It was so bad.
Triple H made some comments, basically, I guess, alluding to Ospreay in a way, but saying
he
that
never said his name.
Yeah, but everyone
could have been Okada.
Ospreay.
But it could have been Okada. It could have been Sasha Banks. Dude,
yeah. I mean, either way, I don't agree with any Triple H. He should.
I don't agree with it.
And also the AEW side.
It felt what Triple H said. Definitely, he was throwing some shade. It could have been.
Ospreay thought it was about him. He took offense and he shot back.
But then he made a personal comment specifically about Triple H. That's the problem. That's the difference.
He said the thing about what do you say?
He said, "I don't."
Subtle response to Triple H's comment. He said, "You're only in the position you're in because they were talking about the grind, and he said you're only in the position you're in because you were grinding the boss's daughter."
He said, "I don't want to hear anybody talking to me about that. I don't grind because you're only in the position that you're in because you were grinding on the boss's daughter. 30 fucking years too late."
See, Tony let Will get this off his chest, and then Will's like, I just had to get it off my chest. Anyway, this match with Bryan Danielson, I'm just like, oh, so you were just allowed to just go out there and air your grievances.
He brought up an insult from 1999. It's sad. That's the part for me that's sad. You're talking about a 50-year-old man who at this point
Punk did this years ago at the Pipe Bomb, talking about why Triple H is in the position.
Triple H and Stephanie has been married since 2003 or whatever, 20 years. They have 3 or 4 children. You're bringing up shit, dude, that it doesn't even matter, man. What are you doing? It's stupid.
Just thought he was witty, bruv.
It's not witty. It's old. It's old news. Everybody's been bringing that up for the last however many years.
So after that, Pac would show up after a squash match with Okada. The Bucks would attack. FTR would help, and then Okada uses a chair to kind of take everyone out. And then the main event was Samoa Joe defeating Dustin Rhodes, and I thought it was a pretty good match. Swerve would come out at the end and attack with a chain, furthering their quote-unquote storyline for Dynasty. And that would be Dynamite. Quickly with Rampage, Zack Knight, Soraya's brother, has finally made his debut match. Again, finally made his debut in a match against Cool Hand Angelo Parker. Angelo Parker was more of like the wouldn't give up, kept fighting back kind of person during the match. And then Collision / Battle of the Belts 10. God, dude, nothing changes with Battle of the Belts 10. The Undisputed Kingdom would turn on Kyle O'Reilly, who's not in the group but friends with Roddy Strong, after Kyle went to check on Rocky Romero. After Roderick Strong and Rocky Romero's match, this would then get us a match for Dynasty. So before we get into SmackDown, after talking about all that, I want to talk about the matches on Dynasty and maybe predictions. Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Trios match. Trios tag team. Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, Mark Briscoe versus the House of Blacks. Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. I feel like House of Black needs a win.
Yeah, I'm going to go House of Black.
Every match Adam Copeland's in, he can't just win. Come on.
House of Black kind of needs it.
What about you, Tim?
House of Black because they need it. Just like Jeremy just
Julia
said.
Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale, TBS Championship.
I'm going Julia Hart. They're doing something with her. Tony's trying to do something with her. I don't know what it is.
I guess I should also say during Dynamite, Mercedes Moné got attacked during an interview. But she said that she's next in line after this TBS Championship match.
She said she's not wrestling until Double or Nothing.
Yeah. So this match I'm now interested in, and I guess it was just made, AEW International Championship, Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly, former friends.
I mean, I think it's Roderick Strong because he just won it. But
this is one of the matches from a worker standpoint that I'm looking forward to the most. I'm just looking forward to the in-ring action. I think both being NXT guys, Ring of Honor guys, WWE guys, they're gonna fucking kill it. I'm gonna go Kyle O'Reilly.
I'd say Kyle, but unless they want to keep everything in the Undisputed Kingdom.
These are two pros. These two guys are gonna kill it.
AEW Continental Championship, Okada versus Pac. Again, another one of those from just talent-wise.
Yeah, I mean, Okada just won it, but also it's like kind of hard to have Pac lose right when he came back too. But I still think it's Okada.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
I'm
just like Tim said about the other match.
I'm looking forward to this match also, just again from a pure wrestling standpoint. Again, look, like we said, we went on a tangent, but look, Tony can book some banger matches. He knows what people want to see. You just got to get me there with some more stories. So for this one, I think Okada, just because it's Okada, and I feel like Pac would be cooler about losing if you were like having a discussion about it. And also Okada just got paid a lot of fucking money, so they don't want to make him look weak. That's just my opinion.
And he just won the title. AEW Women's World Championship, Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa never lost the title when she got hurt.
I still think Toni Storm.
Me too.
I don't think Thunder Rosa wins it.
Toni Storm, because I feel like that's Tony's girl right now. Tony, and I don't mean that in any sort of funny way. I just mean that like he's behind her right now.
Where's Britt, dude?
Being a dentist.
Britt, Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter's injured. I know that.
Yeah, Jamie Hayter's injured. Yeah.
I feel like people have forgotten about Jamie Hayter.
Oh, Chelsea Green with a big win. We'll talk about that next week. Finally, she's finally getting something.
Something, man. AEW World Tag Team Championship.
Dude, Chelsea Green. I'm Team Chelsea Green. She deserves way more than the bullshit that she gets.
But she plays exactly what her character is supposed to be very well, I feel like, also. But she is talented enough that she could do more. Okay. AEW World Tag Team Championship match in a ladder match. This is for the vacated titles. Young Bucks, FTR 4. Ladder match.
This has got to stop.
Tough one, I think.
This has got to stop, guys. I don't want to see
FTR
any more
4.
of this rivalry after this. I'm going FTR.
5.
Well, there has to be 5 because you can't have each win an even number.
Now they're both 2-time AEW Tag Champs, so this will be the first team that becomes a 3-time.
All right, let me ask you guys this. Are the Bucks, and I'm just going to be, this is my opinion, okay? People can feel how they feel. Are the Bucks going to wrestle up to FTR's level, or is FTR going to wrestle down to the Bucks level?
Down.
That's what I'm going with, too.
I want FTR to win, though, if we have to.
I want FTR to win.
I don't like putting it as in like anyone's wrestling up or down. They just have different styles. So
do you think that the Bucks?
I think it's FTR.
Do you think that FTR will wrestle in the Bucks style, or do you think the Bucks will wrestle in FTR style?
It's only the Bucks style because it's a ladder match.
I'm with you. So Jeremy agrees, just in his own way,
just without the verbiage.
I don't find it like any lower or whatever because I feel like that's like that's like disrespectful to other.
Well, yeah,
like
Tim is saying that FTR style is better than the Bucks, and then other people would argue.
And again, we have to remember that Jeremy is the no-selling indie wrestling fan and football lover. But we love Jeremy. We just like to give Jeremy a hard time, but he needs to be here because if he wasn't here, it would just be Andy and I ripping. Yeah.
AEW World Championship, Samoa Joe versus Swerve. I really want Swerve,
baby. Swerve, man. I like Swerve. Here's the thing. I'll bust AEW's balls. I like Swerve.
And then the main event. Danielson versus Ospreay. Who's winning? Who's coming out as best?
Woo! Now this match, okay, the last 2 matches, Joe and Swerve and Ospreay and Danielson. Look, this pay-per-view is fucking stacked.
I told you it's a good card.
We never said
cards are good. It's just I'm not as invested as I could be. I could be more invested.
Tony can make a damn good card. It's not the card. It's just the stories that get you there. I'm going Ospreay. He's hot right now.
Now, I understand every story can't be a Punk and MJF dog collar match story. But if they could, I'd be all in.
It doesn't even have to be. I'm not asking you for a Bloodline Hollywood story. I'm just asking you for some stakes. Why are they fighting? Why do they not like each other?
Medium rare steaks.
I want some medium rare steaks. Even in the UFC, they show me some trash talk videos before the fight. He's like, this guy's a fucking pussy. And like, I'm going to embarrass him in front of his family. And then the guy's like, fuck that. I'll never let you embarrass me in front of my family. And then you're like, okay, I'm rooting for the family guy. It gives you some stakes to root for. That's all I want. It doesn't have to be that much. By the way,
I read the WWE is going to start trying to listen to fans and book women's storylines that aren't just for the title, where the men, just have storylines because they don't like each other kind of things. And so they're going to try to do actual women's ones that don't need a title for a rivalry.
I think that's good.
It's kind of funny to say like that.
I think that's good, though, because most of the main, if you think about it, Jeremy, I do understand, I've never thought about it, but most of the women's big storylines is because the title's at stake.
It always has to have a title.
It always is the titles. It would be interesting to see just 2 chicks not like each other because they don't like each other. Yeah.
What'd you say, Jeremy, though? You didn't like how I said it, or?
No, I just thought it was funny how they have to say that like that.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunately,
you do, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'd read that they were trying to do that. So yeah, the card looks good. It's just I could be more invested than I am.
Card looks amazing, dude. The matches that we just listed seem great. It's just on Wednesday after the pay-per-view. Then what?
I don't know. I mean, the last thing I was kind of invested in with AEW storyline wise was this whole Devil Mask thing. When it became Adam Cole,
Yeah.
that was like the last thing I was like really kind of
it
invested
became
in.
Adam Cole, and they didn't capitalize on anything. The whole thing was a total waste.
You think that's though because Adam's hurt?
Yeah,
do
but
much,
no,
I
but
guess,
like
but-
that's why you need a team of people. It's like, okay, Adam's hurt now. Tony could be like, okay, I need help. What do we do? Somebody could be like, hey, here's some ideas.
Yeah. But you guys got anything else to add to AEW? Then we'll wrap up with SmackDown.
Nothing to add to AEW this week, other than the fact that, look, from day one, I am an AEW supporter. If anything, I get annoyed with the AEW because I don't want it to go back to just being WWE. I love WWE. I think WWE's killing it right now. But I think competition is good. I just think in the
It's been a long time since WWE's killed it consistently.
but I just think in the last year or so, maybe more, they just really dropped the ball. After the Punk stuff, they never recovered. It's felt very messy. Tony seems like he's like going through something. Let's just put it that way. I don't know. But like the whole thing just seems crazy. And like I wanted to get back on track because I love me some AEW. I really do.
The talent there is great.
I'm not trying to be the pessimistic guy that like is like, oh, this place will be under in 3 years. It's like, no. I don't want that. I want it to do good.
Side note, I will say, new season of WWE Treasures just started, and the first episode was like
Cody's looking like an absolute boss walking down with a title right now. But we'll talk about that next week.
I think me and Jeremy have our TVs off
Yes.
at the moment. Tim's spoiling for us. New season of WWE Treasures started. I watched the first episode. It was 2 hours long. It was all about getting WCW gear. So they met with the Steiner brothers. They met with Harlem Heat, and they met with this guy that had the original Kevin Nash Outsider tights, and they were able to get those. And then they got the Kevin Nash tights that he wore during the Finger Poke of Death. It's a pretty cool episode. And then, Tim, I already talked about Darkseid a little before you hopped on. I don't know if you ever were able to catch up on those.
I have not been able to catch up, but that's actually what I'm looking forward to watching tonight. But did you guys want me to do a quick rundown of I have a classic show of the week, but then I also have a just watch the show of the week?
Well, I'm going to wrap up with SmackDown here, and then
Okay.
go into that. Next, and I said next week's episode, Dark Side of the Ring, is on, you might know him, Chris Adams.
Yes, I do. Gentleman
Okay,
Chris
that's
Adams.
next week's. Or this week's episode, I guess I should say.
He was in the same promotion as the Von Erichs and Stone Cold when he first started down in Texas. Nope, in the I think it's World Class Championship Wrestling,
Gotcha.
WCCW.
So SmackDown this week opened up with Cody Rhodes. Not as big of a opening as the Raw after Mania. But this is where he quoted Brandy Rhodes that I talked about at the beginning of the show, thinking it was from Raw. It was a quote where I believe she came out on AEW and she had said it to Jade Cargill, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
And she said, "Who the whole hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch," or something like that.
Yeah. That was a pretty good line from her
Yeah.
when she said it.
Also, this
I
was,
don't.
I think,
Again, I don't think many people in the crowd knew what he was referencing because they don't watch AEW. So
no. I mean, I had to see the clip in order to remember it. It just had.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, that's what it was from."
To me, that was like one of the best things Brandy has done in wrestling. So, like, that's the part that I remember from her.
Damn, I just saw a clip of Rhea Ripley before she goes up to give up the title, giving Triple H a hug behind the scenes. Making me tear up a little bit. Sad.
And Tim's just spoiling next week's episode of
It's behind the
AEW.
scenes. That's not going to be on Raw. That's on their Instagram.
Yeah, but we haven't talked about Rhea Ripley giving up the title. Anyway.
Well, guess what, people? We're helping you out right now. Rhea Ripley had to fucking give up the title about it. We'll talk about it next week.
And Mankind's going to win the title tonight.
Yeah, that'll put... and then Shivani's like, yeah, that'll put some butts in the seats.
Okay, so yeah, Cody opened up SmackDown. He said he'd be waiting for The Rock when he comes back from Hollywood, and he addressed the 6 guys that are going to be fighting for a shot at him. There's 2 triple threats throughout tonight. It's going to be LA Knight, Bobby Lashley versus Santos Escobar, and then AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, and Kevin Owens, the winners of those 2 triple threats, will face each other this coming Friday, and then the winner will face Cody at Backlash. So, before we get into those matches, we see the Bloodline. So Solo, Jimmy, and Paul Heyman walk up to what used to be their locker room. It's the big double doors, and now it has an American Nightmare sign on them, and they can't go in. Either Solo or Heyman basically said they have to respect it since they lost. Kevin Owens walks in and was like, "Go away," or he's like, "There's a closet down the hall you can go to." But the first match, LA Knight defeated Santos Escobar and Bobby Lashley, so he moves on. And then let's talk about this. I mean, it was the best segment on the show, in my opinion. The Bloodline segment. Basically, Roman wasn't out there, but apparently he doesn't blame anyone who interfered in his match, and he wants the Bloodline to take accountability. And Solo is now the one talking a little bit more. And basically said that there needs to be consequences. Solo didn't have a match. He didn't lose at Mania. And so he looks at Jimmy. Jimmy's kind of, confused. And out of nowhere, all black hoodie, hood up, he gets attacked. Turns out it's Tama Tonga from New Japan. They made him cut his hair, in my opinion, because he would look too much like Roman Reigns if he had his full beard and the long hair. He would look exactly like him.
That's true.
I think maybe he had cut it beforehand. I was looking at some footage.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, he attacked him. He held Jimmy, while Solo gave him a bunch of Samoan spikes, and Tama Tonga looking like he fits like a glove, man. He fits right in. I couldn't think of the words, but no, he fits right into the Bloodline, man. Like, I think he works perfectly. What about you, Tim?
I think we touched on it earlier. I think there's going to be some sort of civil war going on. I thought he looked perfect for the role. You got Jacob Fatu rumored to come in. He's definitely coming in.
He told people at CZW, wherever he was at,
GCW.
No, I think it was at CZW.
The fuck? CZW? I didn't even know where you were thinking anymore. No offense.
Yeah.
That's where
he's been telling people that he's signed with WWE, and that's why he couldn't do certain appearances. My buddy Corey was telling me, he's like, you can make a pretty badass WWE Bullet Club now with all the people you got. You got Gallows Anderson, Cody, Finn, AJ, Tama Tonga.
Well, it did. Let me tell you this. It did feel a little bit like with getting with Jimmy, right?
Jimmy was Jimmy.
Jimmy was like, shh. All right. Anyway, was it Jay or Jimmy?
Jimmy got attacked.
So Jimmy was all right. No, no, but Jimmy getting attacked felt like a Bullet Club moment when they betray somebody and then like a new era starts.
Every time a member is going, they just take him out.
They beat the shit out of him and then they cast him out. It felt like that for a minute.
But this was a strong segment, I thought. We talked about before, the YouTube views and everything. People are interested. And he looks like he fits right in with them. So we'll have to see what happens, I do think the rumors are right that it will eventually, where the bloodline is good, as in the Usos are back with Roman, but they're against the bad bloodline.
I would genuinely love to see the bloodline versus bloodline. Like, you got the Usos. Now, like we were hinting at early, maybe the Usos and Roman with Sammy or Cody against The Rock, Solo, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu. That shit would be crazy fire, dude. I'd be all.
Now,
I would
was
be
thinking,
so hyped on that match.
I was thinking backstage when Paul Heyman's checking on Jimmy, interviewer comes up or Solo says to Heyman, actually, he said it was by orders of the tribal chief. Does he mean The Rock?
That's what I was thinking when he says this is orders of the tribal chief, and then he goes to turn. He goes to call Roman.
He said call Roman Reigns, and Solo smashes the phone.
Is The Rock saying he's the tribal chief now? Dude, I'm telling you, season 2 of the Bloodline is gonna be crazy. I'm in.
So I said before on the show that Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin lost their NXT tag titles, so now Braun Breaker is officially full-time on the main roster, and he squashed Cameron Grimes this Friday. We then had a segment with Bayley. It was a little bit of celebration. Tiffany Stratton would come out after Bayley said that, she wanted to, not an open challenge, but that's how Tiffany took it. But Bayley said she would be giving a challenge out, and she was actually going to give it to Naomi. Naomi came out and said that she wanted to earn it. And surprisingly, Naomi beat Tiffany Stratton. I was afraid that Naomi would come back and just keep losing shit, but especially with Tiffany Stratton, skyrocketing. But Naomi won, so I guess she'll face her friend Bayley at Backlash. I haven't seen where it's announced, but we had that Caleb Braxton and Paul Heyman segment backstage, like I talked about, with Solo saying by orders of the tribal chief. Naomi defeated Stratton, and then we had Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair squashing Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. Dude, if this is a tag team, Jade and Bianca, women's division better watch out, because they're about to fucking destroy.
I like the idea
and I think it's safe with Jade while she's
Hear me out. I like the idea of Jade and Bianca as long as in the end one of them turns on each other, and then we get the Jade versus Bianca.
I think it's a good way, though, for Jade to learn.
It's a good way for Jade to learn, but look, you have Jade and Bianca team up as a tag team for a year.
Bianca has to turn. She's been babyface way too long.
At Mania 41, the turn happens, and you get bet. I love it. I hope it happens. I like the idea of a year
out,
a year friendship, and then right before the big one,
you have a festival of friendship. Bianca Belair
turns on her. Jeremy, what do you think? Bianca versus Jade next year's WrestleMania?
Yeah, I always feel that Jade's a really good heel, though. She's just natural, I feel like.
She's a better heel, for sure.
It's going to be weird if she's not.
She has a good wrestling bitch face that she can just turn on.
Yeah, that's it.
But the main event was AJ Styles defeating Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio. It was a good triple threat. AJ, I believe, hit a Styles Clash off the top rope. Styles Clash to Rey Mysterio off the top rope, and they landed on top of Kevin Owens. If I'm not mistaken, that's how the match ended. And then we got LA Knight and AJ face-to-face, so it's looked like we're going to get a rematch. Winner faces Cody at Backlash for the title, and I think it should be AJ. Give me AJ and Cody.
Yeah.
Give me AJ and Cody.
AJ's going to lose again, but yeah.
But here's the thing. Give me AJ and Cody, but like Jeremy just said, anybody, it doesn't matter if it's AJ, it doesn't matter if it's Roman Reigns.
Lose again.
They're not going to have Cody lose the title this fast. No. Ain't no way. And we just know as longtime fans, as the way that they do this stuff, Cody's not losing that title in Backlash. And if they do, holy shit. But it's not going to happen.
Jeremy was saying, what if like Cody faces Rock at SummerSlam and loses it? I was like, there's no way. And then he said, and then Jeremy said, what? He holds it, Rock holds it till he faces Roman, and then Roman wins it again.
Yeah,
I was
Mania.
like, there's no way they're doing that.
Oh my God. WWE Draft begins Friday, April 26th. Oh God. Trips.
Next Friday.
That's next week.
But why is Trips?
I want a draft.
No. Who cares? Just
Judgment Day on Raw has done everything with everyone. I'm sick of seeing Jey Uso and Drew and all of them in the same main events.
Judgment Day have interrupted every single person on Raw, I think.
Dude, let me tell you this: when mommy returns, she's gonna get a mega pop. Mega.
Yeah.
But that's the show. Take us out.
I got two shows. One is not a classic show of the week. One is just something worth watching that I watched the other day. And the other one is a classic show of the week. And I do have kind of a comedic reason for picking it. The first show is Windy City Riot 2024, which just happened. It is an NJPW New Japan show. Let me read you some of the matches that took place in Chicago, Illinois. Matt Vandergriff against Zayn, Trisha Adora and Alex Windsor against Mina Shirakawa and Vivavan, Ren Narita against Minoru Suzuki, who we know from, if you watch AEW, you've seen him on there. Stephanie Vaquer versus AZM. Shota Amuno versus Jack Perry. This is the one.
The recent one?
This is the recent one. This is
the Chicago one.
This is the one where if you want to see Jack Perry in full heel character addressing the CM Punk stuff, this is the one that you want to watch. So Shota Amuno against Jack Perry in a singles match. Mustafa Ali versus Hiromu.
Oh, he wrestled on it?
Takeshi.
I'm watching you.
I know.
Say these names.
Bullet Club, David Finlay, Kenla. Bullet Club, David Finlay, Kenta, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd against Eddie Kingston, Homicide, and United Empire, Jeff Cobb, and TJP. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Matt Riddle, which was
still wrestling?
Yes, he is. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Matt Riddle. Very good match.
Matt Riddle sold the finish, apparently. He just got up and got out of the ring.
I watched that. Very interesting. Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. Dolph Ziggler, versus...
He's here to show the world.
Against Tomohiro Ishii. And then the main event of the night, which a lot of people have seen the results of, was Jon Moxley against Naito for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Now, my classic show of the week is not as much a classic show of the week as a little bit of a comedy choice. But I've seen a lot of people compare AEW now as being equivalent to WCW in 2000 or 2001.
So Tim's going to say, watch what we watched over WrestleMania.
So now I'm going to, no. So now I'm going to list you guys a pay-per-view here to watch from WCW 2000. Let me pull that up here because my phone, unfortunately...
I thought you were going to say, watch Ready to Rumble. It's a comedy.
We did watch Ready to Rumble in the hotel room at WrestleMania, and it was incredible.
How did we not film that for the vlog?
We should have filmed it. Okay.
The whole movie.
So, WCW Sin, okay? WCW Sin took place January 14th, 2001. One of the last WCW pay-per-views, and this is absolutely terrible. I'm going to read you guys some of these matches so you can know that AEW has not quite hit that level yet. So starting off, we got the Hurricane, Shane Helms versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Doesn't sound bad. Reno versus Big Vito. No idea who any of those guys are. The Jung Dragons, Kaz Hasashi and Yu Yang against Evan Kargias and Jamie Noble. Except for Jamie Noble, no idea. Ernest the Cat Miller against Mike Sanders. Horrible. We know Ernest the Cat Miller.
Mike Sanders. Generic name.
Okay, get ready for this. A penalty box match with Jim Duggan Hacksaw as the special guest referee. Team Canada, Elix Skipper, Lance Storm, and Mike Awesome against the Filthy Animals, Billy Kidman, Conan, and Rey Mysterio. Unmasked Rey Mysterio. Just to add in there.
Oh, no.
A triple threat hardcore match. Ming against Crowbar and Terry Funk. God, this match. Except for Terry Funk, God, this match sounds horrible. Natural Born Killers, Junk Palumbo. Natural Born Killers, Chuck Palumbo, and Sean O'Hare against Diamond Dallas Page and Kevin Nash. Oh my God.
The Insiders is what they're calling them.
The Natural Born Killer, the Natural Born Thrillers, and the Insiders. Shane Douglas against General Rection. I don't even know who that is. In a first blood match for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. Two more here. I know it's a struggle to get through. Totally Buffed, the name of the team. Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell against...
General Erection is Bill DeMott, formerly known as Hugh Morris. He's now General Erection.
God, so bad. Totally Buffed, Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell against Goldberg and Dwayne Bruce. God. And the main event of the night is Scott Steiner with Medea against Jeff Jarrett, Sid Vicious, and Road Warrior Animal.
He was the mystery opponent. It's a four corners match.
It's so terrible. All right, well, I struggled through that. It was a struggle to read, and I'm sure it'll be a struggle to watch. So enjoy WCW Sin 2001. Make sure that you go to the YouTube channel where we have our WrestleMania XL recap episode and review. And then we also have our WrestleMania XL experience vlog. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching the PW Fan.